Hey, it's time for TV Skywriter. Hey, good evening or good morning whenever you're watching this show, but hello and welcome to TV Skywriter. I'm Pat Murray, your host. I publish the Durham Skywriter, and every week, just about every Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern, I introduce you to someone cool who I think you should know. And today's guest is Monty Henry. He's the proprietor of DPL Surveillance Equipment. He knows all about sky gadgets, spy gadgets. I've never met anyone like him. Well, welcome to the show, Monty.
Thank you. It's a pleasure. I've been looking forward to it.
Now, I think I met you on Blab, right?
Exactly. The
Yeah.
the, the infamous B word that we so some people vowed to never mention for whatever reason.
Okay. Well, that late lamented live streaming app. Now we're on Fire Talk, and
Exactly.
I'm enjoying
Right.
Fire Talk very much.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's a good departure from that other firm where things didn't quite
Mm.
work out. But I think this seems to be a pretty cool place. And William, how you doing, William? The
Hey,
app that shall
William, nice to
remain
have you here.
unnamed. Exactly.
There you go. There you go.
Right.
So I'm intrigued. I've never met anyone who knew anything about spy gadgets, and you're an expert. I'd like to
Thank
know
you.
how did you get started, and how did it occur to you that maybe you should start a business selling and renting spy gadgets?
Well, it goes back quite a bit, quite a ways back, Pat. Initially, I had a company that didn't have anything to do with spying or surveillance
Mm-hmm.
or counter surveillance for that matter. But what happened was I had a passion for helping women. Women, when I first started out with the primary focus, a lot of women were unfortunately the marriage didn't work out, and the husband went this way, and the families were decimated. And I wanted to help these women find the deadbeat spouse. I wanted to help them collect the child
Oh.
support, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
we put together this model that basically was based upon putting pictures on a website of the deadbeat spouse. And if you saw any of these people on this site, like America's Most Wanted or whatever,
Oh,
you would
wow.
call me, right? And you would say, I saw that person, Monty. And I would say, okay, fine. And we would get private investigators out there to that particular city or state, wherever it was. And then we would trail them and track them down and turn them into the district attorney or attorney generals for that particular area. And then we would get the child support. And see, child support at that time, Pat, it still is. It was at least 35 to $50 billion market. You
Whoa.
know, you look at the aggregate amount of child support and payments that are in arrears for all the people in the United States, particularly, it's like 30 to $50 billion or some ridiculous number. We just wanted a very small percentage of that, right? So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, we decided to pursue that market anyway. We put this pictures on the website, and it's a subscription-based model where you would pay us a certain amount of money to keep that picture on the website. And again, anyone who saw those pictures would call us and turn them in. And we put the private investigators on them, and we would all extract a fee somewhere, but I think
Mm-hmm.
it was like 3 to 5% of the fee, right? So
Okay.
if the total amount for you or for your husband was $30,000, we could do quite well by just a small fee multiplied by all the other customers and clients. But anyway, that particular model went nowhere during the 2 to 3 years that I wanted to commit to it, right?
Was this in the 1990s or
Yeah,
2000s?
this was in the 90s. Exactly. And at that time, it was very easy for the deadbeat spouses to travel from state to state and elude the cases because the cases and the databases weren't centralized. So you could leave
Oh, okay.
California and go to Texas, and the Texas attorney general, district attorney, they would have to start all over, right?
Okay.
And then by the time they got traction over there and finding you and helping get their money back, you would go to another state, right? And you keep doing all this. So it was very difficult. It was a labor of love, right? What we call labor of love, where you basically don't get very much money,
Mhm.
if at all.
Sure.
But what I decided to do, Pat, I decided to give these women something to help them early on in the relationship. If you suspect your husband or boyfriend of cheating on you, whatever, we wanted to give you something so you could find out, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
And I thought, okay, why don't I give you a voice recorder? Why don't I give you a hidden camera or something? So I offered
Wow.
that to the women, and the women said, yeah, yeah, give it to me. I want to find out. It sounds good, right?
Wait
So
a
they
minute.
started.
That it sounds dangerous though. Weren't they putting their
we,
lives in danger?
Well, there's risk with everything, but for better or for worse, see, your curiosity and the amount of stress in your relationship is typically that trumps anything else, right?
Okay.
You want to, yeah. Are your kids safe? Are you safe? Is this guy cheating on me? Believe it or not, when emotions get involved, now all of a sudden the risk goes out the window.
I got you.
Yeah. So a lot of the women, they said, fine, give me something. So I got that something, and I decided, okay, you're gonna get a spy camera, and you're gonna get a voice recorder. You're gonna get a GPS tracker to put on this guy's car, and the business just took off. These women were ordering these things like crazy.
Wow.
And then
okay, so but how did you know about these gadgets? Because I grew up watching Mannix and Magnum PI and all that stuff, and you'd see them slipping the surveillance gadget thing under the car and all that. But I didn't know I didn't know that really existed and that regular people could get their hands on those. So how did you learn about it?
That's a good question. Well, basically, like I mentioned, we started off with voice recorders, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, okay, well, a voice recorder, we can get voice recorders everywhere. And then I started to look more and more into covert things that are more covert than just a voice recorder. And yeah, one thing led to another, and I started to wander out all over the city. I'm in Los Angeles. I went to Beverly Hills. I went to Woodland Hills. I went to this place and that place. And I started talking to people, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I found out who the major players were, and I found out the significant demand, and all, and I started to put all the pieces together. So yeah, talking to business owners, people who own the businesses, people who cater to government agencies and whatever. I started to learn more and more, and then I found out, that we could get our hands on a lot of these products ourselves, and consumers could actually benefit. So yeah, it just a matter of me going from business to business and talking to people and finding out, and slowly but surely building up an inventory of items.
I'm guessing that you are pretty rare. I mean, I've never seen a spy. I'm from Chicago, and even though it's a huge city, I've never seen a spy store.
You haven't?
No. So you must be rare, right?
Not really. No. We've come a long way. Let me put it that way. The industry has come a long way. When I first started, there weren't very many players in the rental space. That's where we specialize. So, but I went online and I started to take a look at who was renting, who was not, and all of that. And believe it or not, there weren't very many people in that particular area, but there were a few spy gadget companies. They're not as prevalent as you would think. You just don't go down to the store, down the street and find you find a liquor store or grocery store. For a lot of communities, you really have to drive a good distance or whatever to find them. Yeah, right.
Now I looked at your website, and folks, if you're curious and you want to see some really wild gadgets, all kinds of surveillance, like solar powered GPS based alarm monitoring systems,
right?
GPS trackers, like what we were talking about, you slip them under the car, whatever. You do with the background searches and anti-terrorist. Now it's DPL surveillance equipment, and you'll see all kinds of really cool stuff. But let me ask you, because I saw something that really amazed me: anti-terrorist items that USA citizens cannot access. So does that mean that you sell or rent to, the actual government?
Yes. Yeah, Uncle Sam is a very good customer, and has been a very good customer over the years. And like any other business owner, you want to get into that marketplace. You dream about the big job and the landing this major deal or something. And when I first started out, I had no clue that we were even capable. I didn't know what it just was something that I think, you have all these expectations in terms of what it means to qualify the business with the government. But the good news is the government really, it all depends on what level you're doing, you're dealing with them on. And believe it or not,
you can't call the president directly, I'm sure, right?
Not exactly. But no, we found out slowly but surely they had purchases that were below the threshold where we didn't have to go through so much paperwork. I think it was $25,000 or less or something. And those
I'll bet they still checked you out pretty thoroughly though.
Oh yeah, no, they have to know who they're dealing with. And as a matter of fact, we're registered with a number of government databases. Yeah, so unless you're in this central contractors, CC, I think it's triple C, CCR, central contractors registry, and then you show up on the radar. So yeah, you have to go through this vetting process, and seems like every 3 months I have to go back and sign in and make sure that we're active and all that. But yeah, they want to know who they're doing business with, definitely. Right.
So I'm guessing if they're not looking for deadbeat dads, who do you think they're looking for?
They're looking for money launderers. They're looking for drug traffickers. They're looking for terrorists, child pornographers. The more high profile, serious offenders out there is what they're looking for. And we're trying to help them find with the narcotics detector, for instance. You probably saw that. The narcotics detector, we're trying to stop the significant flow of narcotics, the cocaine, the heroin flowing across the borders. And with the explosive detectors, we're trying to get a handle on situations where someone could be trying to destroy property and lives of other people and embassy, federal buildings, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, exactly.
Now, when I was in Chicago and working at the Jazz Institute of Chicago, I would keep up by reading Downbeat magazine.
Okay, right.
How do you keep up? I mean, you're in a business that nobody should really know about. So how do you keep up? What magazines? I mean, you can't possibly just get some retail magazines on the spy business. So how do you keep up with what's happening and what's the latest in gadgets?
It's funny. Yeah. Hi, Ellen. And
Ellen,
guys.
oh.
Yeah, we have trade magazines, so to speak.
You do?
They're not exactly going to be found in your local bookstand, but we have trade shows. There's people who do a lot of newsletters, but for the most part, you're going to go to trade shows and you're going to go to conferences, and you're going to do a lot of research, over the internet, for instance, to make sure that you understand what the current threats are and how to fit your solutions to the particular problems. But yeah, we have to do our homework, and I work with a lot of private investigators and intelligence agencies, et cetera, and they need to have someone look at the products and test the products and source the products, so that when they come up with a problem, I can say, okay, look, I have something for you, and this is going to help you with that problem. So yeah, we have to know the technology, we have to know the problem, and then they present then they come to us and let us know, and we present a solution. Rather, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So is your business online only, or do they actually drop in and see you?
A very small percentage of people drop in and see us. We had a situation.
So you have a retail store?
No, it's basically online.
Okay.
Yeah, 99% of our business is online, and we have some customers who have to see us, who have to know who they're dealing with.
Oh.
We had some people from Saudi Arabia who wanted to, the Ministry of Defense for Saudi Arabia, they needed to know who they were dealing with. They wanted to spend a very large amount of money on explosive detectors, and they needed to know who they were dealing with, right? Wow. It's one thing to write a check to someone and send it off and say, okay, let's do business. It's another thing to say, who is this guy? Let's get some representatives out there, meet him, talk to him, try to get an idea whether or not this is okay or not. So yeah,
so they sent their people to see you,
exactly.
Or did they send for you? They didn't send for you to go to Saudi Arabia?
No, in this situation, they came here. We had two representatives come here, and we sat down and we talked, and they asked me every conceivable question.
Okay, I don't want to.
No big deal. Yeah, we know how to.
I don't want to ask questions that you can't answer. But I can imagine if there's an American citizen doing business with another government, doesn't the United States government have to approve it? or at least know about it?
Well, yeah, there's a certain procedure, definitely. We have checks and balances built into the system. If you want to
Mm-hmm.
buy something we call government restricted products, that's where you looked at when you looked at anti-terrorist products. Those are
Yeah.
government restricted products. So yeah, our customers have to fill out a form of what we call an end user certificate, and they have to complete it.
Mm-hmm.
And then the manufacturers work with the embassies and state departments, and they need to look at it. Are you on the terrorist list, for this country or something? And if so, then you can't do
Wow.
business with you. But yeah, they look over the transaction. They look at the product that we're trying to sell. They look at the country where you're from, et cetera, et cetera. And they give us a green light. We know pretty
Mhm.
much, after 20 years of doing this, I know pretty much which countries are blacklisted, which ones aren't. So yeah, when they come to
Mhm.
us, we just have them complete the form, send the form in, and start rolling based upon whether or not we get a green light.
So if North Korea comes calling, you you probably have to alert somebody, right?
Well, they're not going to get anywhere. Yeah, if North Korea calls, we know that we can't even have a conversation. There's no
Mm-hmm.
point in having a conversation because certain countries, we know it's not going to happen. It just is. You can't even get off the first base.
Wow.
Right.
Wow. Now, every now and then, now again, we're doing the show on Fire Talk, and we see each other,
Right.
in the chats of other people's shows, and every now and then you say something that's really
Thank
intriguing.
you.
For example, let's see, I think it was just yesterday or the day before, you were saying that there are apps. I'm trying to understand how to even ask this.
There's no problem.
How that there are apps out there that people are interested in because they spy on ordinary citizens. I don't know if spy is the exact right word though,
We'll say
but
monitor for now. We'll just say monitor. That's
monitor.
better. Right. It's
Okay.
okay. Yeah.
Okay. And I wanted to give a quick example for the audience, the people watching and listening. Um, Someone on Fire Talk said that she was having a face-to-face conversation with
Exactly.
someone.
Right.
And I did want to point out, for example, okay, so if you are Googling around and you want to buy a purse, okay, the next time you go to Facebook, you'll see an ad for that purse on Facebook. So
Exactly.
that means if you're Googling around looking at items, they try to entice you to buy it somehow, some kind of software, analytics, I don't know the right word,
That's
but
right.
it ends up on Facebook.
Yeah.
But this lady said that she was not online. She was talking face to face in person with someone about something, an item.
Right.
And next time she went on Facebook, that item wasn't an ad on Facebook, and it totally freaked her out. So I wanted to ask you about that. How does that happen?
Well, that's the latest area. And see, I want you guys to listen intently because this is the latest, almost the holy grail of marketing. See, if I can get as much information from you as possible, Pat, as a marketer, the more valuable my marketing efforts are, the more effective, right? So
Okay.
if I can listen into your conversations as you talk on your phone, move around your house or your office or whatever, if I can somehow get access to that information, audible information, then I'll get some idea. What do you like? When you travel, where do you travel? When you eat, what do you eat? Right? When you come to
Okay,
work.
I haven't given but I haven't given permission to anyone to listen to my
Well, this
conversation.
is the problem. See, a lot of times what happens is buried deep inside. Well, there's two things that I want to touch upon, okay, that are
Mhm.
instrumental to making this work. One of them is just like when you sign up with Fire Talk, just like when you sign into Google for the first time, Facebook, et cetera, you got a whole list of terms and conditions, right? And a lot of times
Mhm.
we don't have the lawyers, we don't have the legalese, we don't have the time or the patience to wade through the information to determine exactly what are we giving away, right? And what
Okay.
a number of companies have discovered is they're saying, okay, look, we're going to turn on the microphone, for instance, okay? And when we turn on that microphone, it's going to be so you can record your speaker so that you can use this particular app or that particular app, right? It's
Okay.
just for that particular instance, we want you to know that we're going to turn on your microphone so you can make the product work for you, right? But what they don't
Mhm.
tell you is we're going to keep the microphone on, for instance, and we're going to gather as much information as possible. Okay. And
is that in the terms of service? Because I have to admit I don't read them.
well, I give you an example. Samsung has a ton of smart TVs out there. Okay.
Okay.
Now, for reasons of tech support, quote unquote tech support, they want to turn on the microphone so that when you're talking back and forth to the technician, they can have a good relationship and talk to you and get response and everything else, right?
Okay.
So, but what they're not telling anyone, and our legislators right now are just now addressing this issue. They're saying, wait a minute, Samsung, you can't keep the microphone on forever. If they call you and they ask for tech support, you turn it on. If you want to talk to them through the TV or whatever, however you want to communicate with them, you got to let them know. And then you turn it on, and then at the end of that session, you turn it off, right? But for the longest period of time, it never went off. And see, they're not the only ones. I'm reading more and more about organizations, and you can Google silver push. Okay. Now,
silver push.
Yeah, I can drop a link in there if you want.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, silver push basically works like this. There's an app again that once you use it and turn it on, it's basically going to be listening forever and gathering information. I remember that once as April Fool prank. Yeah, games that exit the terms and conditions that if you bought a product that they would own yourself. Okay, yeah.
Okay. I'm sure it's just a prank.
Yeah. Basically, silver push is a very real world and practical example of how these companies are using the ability to listen in audibly, turn on the microphones again, and gather information, and then they turn that information over to their marketing people. Now, this is becoming very prevalent as you walk through your malls and your shopping malls, etc. There's a company that has a billboard or something, and when you walk past it, it uses your cell phone GPS data information to determine that you're coming near the proximity or whatever, and it starts interacting with you to deliver ads, etc., etc. So
I've heard of people saying that, like they walk by a store, they beep, their phone will go off, they'd look, and then a coupon enticing them to go to the store that's right there.
Exactly.
It's telling them they can get 25% off or whatever.
Exactly. That is becoming very, very prevalent. But we have to understand, look, those are touching on some areas that violate every conceivable privacy law that you can think of. And again, we need to go to our legislators and different people in Congress. I think the FTC rather, is looking into this. And they are actually trying to come up with legislation to make sure that we understand that we have rights, and the manufacturers and the app developers and advertisers and marketers are encroaching into some areas where they can quickly get into trouble. So first of all, I'm trying to raise awareness, but yeah, and hi, Ellen. Yeah, so we need to make sure we understand this is a violation of our privacy, and we need to take every precaution. I was as an example, I use an app called Spreaker. Some of you have probably heard of it already.
I've heard of it.
Yeah, we do podcasting with Spreaker, right? Now, when you turn the microphone on for Spreaker, and you give it permission by way of going into your settings to use that microphone, the microphone stays on indefinitely.
Wow.
And what you need to do is when you're not using it, and this applies to everything else, the Siri, the Cortana, I think that was Google has, and the Amazon Echo, all these are speakers. They're microphones that stay on. And see, with Amazon and Google and Apple, what nobody is saying is that can be abused very easily. As a matter of fact, hackers are starting to figure out a way to get into bypass the security protocols that allow them to turn on the microphone, turn on the videos, et cetera, et cetera.
Well, that makes sense, because when people talk to Siri, they just say, Siri, where is whatever? So it must be on all the time.
Yeah, exactly. It wouldn't respond, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Wow.
So it's
okay. Now I do know that you can turn off the GPS on your phone.
Exactly.
You can do that, and you probably should.
Yeah, exactly.
And someone, I don't know if it was you, said to cover your with a Post-it note, your
Yeah,
camera
exactly.
on your laptop. Although I was also told, however, that you know when your camera is on because it lights up.
Well, we shouldn't rely upon the light, unfortunately, because the hackers are becoming very sophisticated. And if someone can figure out how to turn a light on, I turn a camera on without the light glowing, they'll do it. So yeah, we just got to
Wow.
understand. Look, as primitive as it sounds, even when Mark Zuckerberg got his laptop hacked into, and they took screenshots and everything else,
Mhm.
they used the camera of his laptop, and so he has unlimited
Wow.
resources, pretty much, right? But
I
yeah,
thought,
but
yeah.
for the cost of a sticky, he realized the best security protocol in that case was to put the sticky over the camera.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, it's good to know. It's really good to know these things.
Thank you.
So how can we keep up? I mean, I don't know if you have a newsletter to inform people about stuff like this, but if
Yeah,
you
we do.
don't,
Yeah.
oh, you do?
Yeah, every month we send out 30,000 emails that talk about some subject. We try to think of things that are pertinent or relevant to people or something. Some of them focus on spies and surveillance and all that, you guys, but a lot of them are what we call general interest. They basically are things that we think are relevant to our people, because we don't want to spam everyone all the time. We just want to let you know we're concerned about you and thinking what you eat, what you do, and all this stuff. But as a consequence of getting the newsletter, you can see within the structure of the newsletter that it is a surveillance equipment spy gadget company.
Sure.
And you can get the resources. But yeah, then we try to keep the content, the main focus, something general interest most of the time. And that's just something really critical.
Okay, so we're down to our last minute.
Okay.
So I think if those of us who are interested in getting that newsletter, I suppose we can get it by going to your DPL surveillance equipment website.
Yeah. Go to the website and sign up, and we'll be glad to put you on the list and keep you informed. And just so you guys will.
And of course, you don't sell the information to marketers and spammers. Of course.
No, I got an old school philosophy. I believe that if you're not making money selling your products or providing services, then you need to be out of business. You should be in the business of selling information on your customers. That's something that I believe in firmly.
Yeah, I really appreciate
You're
that.
welcome.
So, Mr. Monty Henry, listen, do you have any last? I hate to say any last words.
Yeah.
But do you have any last? And thank you, Andrew, who's a great graphic artist.
Oh, thanks.
If you have any, like we have 25 seconds.
Okay.
Any more tips that you have for us to stay safe on the internet?
Yeah. As Pat mentioned, turn your GPS location services off on your phone. Use the strongest passwords that you can imagine, and these are passwords that you can't remember. We don't need to try to remember passwords. They could just be recorded somewhere.
Our time is up.
Okay.
So what I'm going to do is to sign off right now.
Right.
Thank you for watching TV Skywriter, and be sure to check out the website. So with that, have a beautiful evening or day, and I will see you soon.
Okay, guys.
Ciao for now.
All right.